Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by James Madison women's lacrosse player, Nicholle Marshall. Last season, Nicholle was a team captain who started in all 20 games on defense, where she secured 32 ground balls on the season, second most for JMU, and caused 27 turnovers on the season, which was third most for James Madison. Before college, Nicholle was on the first team All County as a junior and was a honorable mention as a sophomore. She was the 2017 Team Rookie of the Year, a team captain, a two-time club tournament championship, and she was also a two-year captain for the soccer team, which was a sectional champion and also reached a county final as well. And I'm super excited to have her on today. So welcome to the Draw Control podcast, Nicholle. And how is everything going?
Yeah, thanks so much, Matt, for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, everything's been going good. It's a little weird being graduated, but it's an adjustment.
Yeah, definitely a lot more free time instead of doing all those packets, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, I actually just backpacked around Europe for 21 days. I got back June 29th, and that was definitely an experience of a lifetime.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna like that was one of my first questions to you. Is like, well, you just wrapped up your college career, so what have you been up to since graduation? And I'm just curious,
Yeah.
do you still plan on being involved in lacrosse in the future, or are you officially retired from the sport?
I really want to start doing private lessons. So if you want to spread the word out, definitely just keeping like local, like more Smithtown based because I'm going to be staying home. That's where my job is. I'm working at ADP in like the Melville office. So the easiest me would just do private lessons local. And I recently just worked a Smithtown camp actually yesterday. So just
Yeah.
doing like a little camps and kids and coaching. So that's a little bit how I'm going to stay involved with the sport.
Well, if anyone's listening to this podcast that lives in the Smithtown area, feel free to contact Nicholle for private lessons. I'll definitely give you a shout out for that to help you out a little bit.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. How was Europe? Where'd you visit?
Oh, where didn't I visit? I went everywhere. I started in London and then I kind of just made my way down south and ended in Greece, where I went to Corfu, Santorini, and Mykonos. But I went all over the place, which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. The only thing I know about Europe is I saw this video of Barcelona. I guess they're not happy with tourists over there. They're like spraying water at them.
Oh, it was,
So I don't know
I
if you
went to
went there.
Barcelona.
Oh, probably
Yeah,
weren't a
it
big fan
was.
of you, I would imagine.
I honestly, out of all the places that I went, I think I hit a wall though because it was my 11th day traveling
Yeah.
and we got to Barcelona and like you said, it was just so many people there. It
Hmm.
was really overwhelming. But then I went with my family friend or like my cousin. She's our moms are best friends and we went together. We went to Sitges Beach, which is like a 30-minute train ride outside of like Barcelona, like one of their beaches, and it was beautiful. It kind of reminded me like a mixture of people from Long Island know what Fire Island is and also Florida. It was like one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever been to.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Well, I'm glad you had a lot of fun. I'm glad you're back home safe as well. And
Yeah.
hopefully you get the chance to go back there at some point to experience it once again. Now, let's start off talking about the beginning of your lacrosse career and sort of working all the way up to where you are today. So, from the research I did on yourself, it says you're from Nesconset. Hopefully, I pronounced that right, New York.
Yeah, you did.
So, talk about growing up there and how did you start playing lacrosse?
Yeah, so Wisconsin's like a part of Smithtown because I went to Smithtown High School West, but um I started playing soccer was like my main sport, and then our parents put me and my older sister, who played 4 years at Binghamton, who was a 2-year captain there too, who also played defense. And I was playing with her grade, and I didn't like it that much because I was playing with older girls. I was in kindergarten. She's 2 years older than me, so I was playing with like a bunch of second graders, and I didn't love it. So I stopped playing for a year, and then I actually went back to it, and then it ended up being the sport that I love to this day. So
And
that
growing
was
up,
really great experience.
yeah, and growing up, who were some of your favorite lacrosse players and teams that you like to watch?
So growing up, one of the big role models from where I'm from was Shannon Brady. She now coaches at Penn State. And she like started her freshman year at Maryland. So like and her younger sister Danny is a year younger than me. And we just grew up watching her and cheering her on. So she was really like a big idol within our town and everything.
And before college, like you mentioned, you played for your high school at Smithtown West. So just talk a little bit about your high school lacrosse days, what you took away from it, and what's like your favorite memory from your high school lacrosse experience when you look back on it now.
Yeah, looking back at my lacrosse, it was really great because like I said before, I have an older sister who played lacrosse and it was amazing being able to be on a team with her for 2 years where she was the captain and she kind of laid the law down for me, as you would say, just like taught me how to be respectful and really admire like older people and listen to like what they have to say and you can learn so much from them. So I'm like forever thankful for her teaching me that lesson early because that definitely applied a lot when I went to college too. And I would say playing with her was just something that I'll never forget and I'll cherish forever. Um because also I was the only person in my grade who played lacrosse competitively outside of school. And I think there was maybe two other girls in my grade who played lacrosse for 4 years, but they didn't play outside. They weren't competitive. It was more of just like an activity for them to do after school. So I kind of latched on to all the older girls and like their relationships and it but yeah, and I would say my favorite memory would probably my junior year beating East in regular season. That was a core memory because I didn't have a senior season actually because I was 2020 COVID
Oh
senior.
wow. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. I will
Yeah.
say, was your sister harder on you compared to the other younger players on the team just because she is your older sister after all?
Um, I think she was very good at treating everyone equally and she definitely I would say there's more trash talk when it comes to me.
Yeah.
We came to each other like going at each other, but overall she was a great leader and I look up to her till this day. Yeah.
Now you sort of touched on this a little bit, but how did you think your lacrosse experience with Smithtown West and also your club lacrosse experience, how do you think that sort of helped prepare you for college lacrosse with JMU?
Well, my outside team, my travel team, I played for Yellow Jackets and I played with some very talented girls. I mean, if I can just lift off the top of my head, like Danielle Pavanelli in Florida, Belle Smith, Hunter Roman at Boston College, Jenny Markey at Syracuse. The list goes on and on. Like we had a very talented outside group. So I would say the competitive level at practices and talent wise, definitely from Yellow Jackets prepared me into college. And then, like I said, looking back at my high school experience, just learning from the older girls and listening to older girls really helped me into the college transition also from Smithtown West.
And you also played soccer in high school. What was it like playing that sport and how do you think it helped you in lacrosse? And you also won a championship there as well, so that must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, soccer was the first sport that I ever played. Soccer still holds a special little place in my heart. I will say that. And it was really that I always look back and like I said, I'm a 2020 senior, so I didn't get my lacrosse senior season, but I was very grateful that I continued my lacrosse career for years. But I always said I'm very thankful that I was able to finish out my soccer career. And soccer, honestly, it's footwork. Like that would help. That's what helped me got my footwork was playing soccer for as long as I did for like that's the reason I had as good as footwork as I did as a player.
I have to ask, do you still watch soccer today? And do you have like a favorite team or club or I don't know, it's called club. Yeah. Do you have a favorite club or player that you like to watch?
Well, growing up, it was my idols was definitely like the USA team, women's soccer team. I remember when they won, we all went to the parade in New York City, my whole soccer team as like little girls. We were just always would look up to them. My idol growing up was definitely Alex Morgan and Carly Lloyd. Like they were really the start of, I want to say, like the reign of female athletes getting the respect that they deserve. So that was I would definitely say the U.S. women's soccer team was as still to this day probably my favorite team too.
Yeah, I saw that Alex Morgan didn't make the Olympic team, so it's making me
Yeah.
feel old because I feel like there's like a new sort of wave of younger players joining the team now that are taking
Yeah.
over.
I know it's crazy to think about that like she's the person like idol, like one of idols like growing up and now like she's not competing anymore and it's like it's crazy.
It is very crazy, but it was going to happen at some point. So
Yeah.
I just wish it didn't happen until a few years from now, I guess. But there's nothing I can do about it, obviously. But let's talk about your recruiting process with James Madison. What was that like for yourself, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
James Madison, I had the best 4 years of my life there. I am so thankful every single day for Shelly Clace recruiting me and bringing me into that culture. And I think if you ask any alumni from JMU, the first thing that they will say is what makes us so different from any other program is the culture and the people. And I feel like a lot of people say that, but it's really the connection that you have with the girls on the team and the way that the coaches bring everyone together. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. Like I found my sisters for life at this school, and it was truly the best experience I could have asked for.
Now, in 2021 was your freshman year, so what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college lacrosse?
I mean, also like you're bringing it back to COVID, that was a huge adjustment because all the students left and all the athletes still had to stay on campus. So I spent my first 2 weeks of college in isolated in a dorm room because I got contact traced.
Oh, wow.
So that was so it was such a hard adjustment at first. But once practice started, games started going, like you started getting more feel and like talking to people again. So it ended up being a great season. But definitely the hardest adjustment was just having to deal with COVID again my freshman year.
Yeah, but let's talk about one. I will say, how did you sort of adjust to the COVID stuff? And once the season got along, I feel like things got a little bit better. Like I saw that your team won the CAA championship in overtime that season. So I was just curious, like talk about winning your first conference championship and sort of what it meant to you, because obviously you probably went through a lot of challenges and adversity to get to that point. And what emotions were you going through your head when Lizzie got that overtime goal?
I just think that was one of the best days of my life. I will never forget that. We were down by 4 goals with like 4 minutes left, and it was like Taylor Marchetti scored, then like Caitlin Morgan scored the tying goal, and it was just, and then we sent it an OT. And all like I said, we dealt with everything. Like not everyone was allowed to travel to like certain because of the bus, because the rules of COVID. And we dealt with so much adversity that year during COVID, and just to come out on top in our conference after everything that we had to deal with. And we dealt with a earlier season loss to Elon. We lost to them like 6-5, and you know what? It was just kind of like a kick in the butt where it's like, okay, we need to like focus now, and practice got better every single day, and that's one of the mottos that we have at JMU is you just want to get 1% better every single day.
Now, that season, you also made it to the tournament for the first time in your career. Talk about your freshman year tournament experience, beating a really good John Hopkins team before losing to the number one team in the country that season in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's like you don't really know what it's like until you're there. And for me, like this is what I trained for all throughout high school. This is what I trained for in the summer leading up was just the NCAA tournament. Like you watch it, you experience it. Like at home, like I've seen a bunch of national championships and Final Fours at Stony Brook. So it's like to actually be in the tournament was a like lifelong dream for me.
Now, let's skip ahead to your sophomore season. You guys got a huge upset beating number three Maryland. I just want to talk to you about that upset and sort of what it meant to you at the time, beating a great program like that. because I feel like it really set the stage for the success that you were going to have your junior and senior years.
Yeah, so that goes into so had to leave the CAA because our football got moved up for the FBS. So CAA ruling, we weren't allowed to compete for a conference championship, which meant to get into the tournament, we had to get an automatic bid. And we had some rough losses. We lost to we didn't have like the best record, honestly. I'm trying to think of I remember we lost to Rutgers and that was a really hard loss. I think we only scored like 5 goals. And our team just was like, we're so tired of losing. Like we're not losing anymore. And then we played our next big game was Maryland. And I think we just came out and we were like this is all or nothing. Like this is how we're gonna get our automatic bid. And we all just like got in together and bought in. And it was actually it was such a great feeling knowing that, yeah, like we can do this, like we can compete with the best of the best, knowing that we weren't even ranked at that point and they were ranked number 3.
Oh yeah, and also just sort of helps you prepare for the new conference as well, since I'm assuming the competition probably like stepped up a notch, with those non-conference games that you were going to have to play, and then obviously go into a conference with Florida and great teams like that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, like you mentioned, in between your sophomore and junior season, your team switched conferences, and I noticed that your team went from 14 to 19 wins. So just talk about one, playing in the American Athletic Conference and sort of how it differed from the CAA, as well as the improvements your team made in between both those seasons to make that conference switch more seamless from an outside perspective.
So that was it was just we were ready for that transition and we were hungry for a championship because like I said, we weren't allowed to compete in the CAA for a championship. So again, it was really and honestly the senior class was a big huge senior class because it was like also the added on 5th years because at like the COVID ruling, I'm sure as you know, and it was a really big senior class and they kind of just laid the law down for our team and they had amazing leadership and we had Colleen Shear came into the picture because that's when Haley left and she was a great addition. Not that Haley wasn't also a great addition, but Colleen came in and she was a perfect fit for exactly what the program needed to. And the great and having just more experience, I felt like everyone was returning. It was more of just the experience overall of the team.
Now, obviously, as a junior, you started to get more playing time and your stats really improved. So, my question to you is, as you went along during your college career, what would you say is like the biggest improvement you made to your game as a defender?
I would say my biggest improvement in my game would definitely be my IQ and just having more confidence and experience knowing and playing with the people around you because I feel one of the most important, if not the most important thing on defense is communication. And once you create that connection with the players on your team, it's like you know what they're going to do and you can react to that. And it's just easier, just you get into a flow.
Now, in your junior year, your team had the furthest tournament run you've ever had in your college career. You guys made it all the way to the quarterfinals against Syracuse. So just talk about that tournament run and what your team took away from it, winning your regional that season.
Yeah, so it was also an amazing experience to get a home seed too because we were ranked the 7th seed and we played Army and Maryland at home and then we had to fly all the way to Syracuse, but that was a really special season and it's so hard to beat a team twice and we beat Maryland in the regular season too my junior year. We had to go on and face them in the Sweet 16 and beating them and we were down with like 6 minutes left and we came back and we had one of the biggest comebacks I've ever been a part of in that game and I think everyone just bought in. There was so much heart in that game and it was just truly amazing.
Now, as a senior this past season, what type of leadership did you want to bring to the team? Would you consider yourself a vocal leader or lead by example type of player?
I would say that I'm both. I have a very loud voice, which just makes it really easy for me to be vocal and communicate to my teammates and on the field. And I also would say I lead by example. I'm always trying to do the right thing by my coaches, by the teammates, and I want to set an example like how the older girls have always set an example for me in my past.
Now, your season and college career came to a close with a loss against Maryland in the national tournament. How have you reflected on that loss since then, and what will you take away from your lacrosse experience with JMU when you look back on it now? I know it's probably still sort of fresh in your mind, but I assume you've had time to sort of reflect on your whole experience with JMU and just that game in general as well.
Yeah, it was a really rough loss. It wasn't the best game that we played that season and but looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed anything. And we played a really amazing game against Penn State where we beat them to lead us into the Sweet 16 again against Maryland. And just like reflecting back on the loss, um it was a hard to lose like that being my last game. But overall, I mean, it was a great season and I'm excited to see what the girls have to do, what they can do next year. I'm really excited to watch them play and just be dogs out there again.
Now, I do want to ask another question. That's just one of your teammates, Isabella Peterson, was drafted into the AU Pro Lacrosse League. What is she like as a teammate off the field, and just what's she like as an attacker from your perspective as a defender?
I mean, if you want to be a better defender at JMU, like my 4 years with her, you go up against her. I mean, she's so diverse. She has an amazing IQ and she goes so hard every single day at practice. And you know what? She makes amazing plays because that's what she is, because amazing players make amazing plays. And I'm so proud of her as a teammate and as a friend of what she's doing and how she's doing it. She's truly an amazing person, an amazing girl. And playing up against her, you know what? It's like if you want to get better, that's what you got to do. You got to go up against the best attackers if you want to be a better defender.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask because she had a viral moment this past season, one of your first games of the season, where she scored an ankle-breaking goal against North Carolina. I want to get your thoughts on that as a defender yourself. Like, you're obviously you watched and you're like, wow, she's such an incredible attacker, but do you also like, oh no, as a defender, because you don't want to be in like one of those viral videos, like she in the goal that she scored.
Like being a defender, like it's gonna happen. Like most of the highlights that are shown on Instagram and all that are they're scoring and attackers are gonna score and as defenders it's our job to stop them. But you know what? Like she did that every single day of practice. She just makes everything look effortless, I want to say, and like so graceful.
Have you ever gotten your ankles broken? Like, I'm curious, like as a defender, have you ever seen some of that stuff on Instagram before?
Yeah, 100% I have, and I try not to look at it because
Hmm.
it's like a confidence thing for
Oh
me.
yeah.
Like don't want to look back, or sometimes I will look at it as motivation and thinking back, okay, like this is never gonna happen to me again. Because I've seen it. I've been on like Maryland's reels when we played Maryland. I've seen myself on them. And it's hard, but at the end of the day, I feel that's also a good motivation tool because you have to think to yourself, no, that mistake's never going to happen to me again.
Would you say you can look back on it now and laugh since you're not playing anymore in college?
Yeah, I can definitely look back at it and now and laugh and everything. So that's good.
Yeah, that is good. I feel like that's why I couldn't be a defender because I wouldn't be able to get through that confidence mentally wise. So I would much rather be an attacker and at least try to get on
Get on
those
the
Instagram
cool reels on
highlights.
Instagram
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
everything.
that would be a lot of fun. Not even like my favorite one was like this one person from Albany. She had
Yeah.
like I don't know if she didn't break the defender's ankles, but she just had such an accurate shot, like it hit like the top shelf of the net. Like that's what I would love to do if I was a lacrosse player, like to have such an accurate shot where it doesn't matter what the defense can do. Like I can just shoot it wherever I want and get past the goalie. I feel like those are the most impressive goals in my opinion that I see.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to a segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment, where we get to know you a little bit more off the field, and I'll answer some of these questions as well. So first one is, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
This is actually, we have cards, and this was one of the questions on our player cards. JMU has player cards of the game, and I said, Mila Kunis.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would say. Probably like I feel like Ryan Gosling would be cool, just so I can brag to people
Yeah.
they play me in a movie, even though I'm I know that we don't look anything alike, but it's just more of just like it'll be funny, but also something I can brag to my friends about. So
Yeah.
next one is, what is the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday?
Feel like the most underrated holiday I want to say is Halloween. My freshman year, I remember I made me and my roommate, because that's one of my favorite holidays. I made her, we had to go to the dollar store and we decorated our entire dorm together of like Halloween stuff, because that's one of my favorite holidays. I definitely think that that's underrated. And an overrated holiday, um, I don't know. I really love holidays, so this is hard for me.
You're not gonna like my
Um,
overrated answers, so
oh, you were gonna say Halloween?
yeah, I just feel like once you can't trick or treat anymore, it's not as fun as it used to be. And I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like there's like, if you can't, the best part about the holiday is getting candy, and now you can't do that anymore. So I feel like it just sort of, it doesn't hit the same as it did when you were a kid.
No,
I
but
still
it's
like,
like leading up to it too, though. You can do like the pumpkin
I
picking
do like,
and
I like
all
carving a
that.
pumpkin, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm too old to dress up. So that's why I don't do that anymore.
Oh, you're never too old to dress up.
What's like the best Halloween costume you've ever done?
Best Halloween costume I've ever done. Um, I was Captain America my junior year of college, and I that was like one. I would say that's one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I would say if I would do one now, it'd probably be like something simple. Like I would probably do like Charlie Brown, where I can just put like black duct tape on a yellow polo and
Yeah.
like make that work. So that's the thing. Like I feel like the simplicity for me is what would make it better for a good Halloween costume. Now let's move on to the next one, which is who has the best style on the JMU women's lacrosse team off the field?
I want to give a shout out to my coach, actually, my defensive coach, Catery. She she would come in with so much like drip at practices. Like everyone, she'd walk in, everyone would be like, "Oh, like is that a new jacket? Is that, are those new leggings?" So she was good. I would say her or my roommate, Lizzie Piercino, or my old roommate.
Now, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Read or seen this week. Um, I don't know. Oh, I've been seeing a lot of shark videos
I saw
of
someone's
sharks
leg
on
get
Long
bit off.
Island.
I don't know if you saw that.
So what did I see? What did you see?
There was someone's leg got bit off by a shark on the 4th of July. I unfortunately came across that in my timeline, which I didn't want to see, but so I'm not swimming this summer after seeing that.
Yeah, I love going in the water, and then I just see on Long Island and Fire Island and Montauk that there's so many sharks around, and like even like in the Sound.
Oh yeah. I would be careful. I would say if you see any shark signs, don't probably not go in the water. So I don't think I would not want to mess with sharks. They seem very
Yeah.
scary to me. I would say for me, I saw this guy from NYU do a discussion about like social media and the impact on like younger generations. And one thing he suggested was like people who you shouldn't have social media until you're 16 years old because of how dangerous it is. And I was thinking like how lucky I was at least to not really grow up with social media and sort of just be able to go outside and play. And I feel like it's just a lot different now for the younger generation. So it's something I like. Yeah, I didn't really think about how lucky it was that I didn't really have a lot of that stuff because it was still so new at the time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I grew up the same way. I was always outside, never on like video games, computers, like none of that. I was always outside playing whatever sport I could get my hands on. And I feel bad that people are just don't experience the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, last non-lacrosse question for you is what would be your perfect day?
Wake up early and get a like good workout in. Go home, get ready for the beach with pick up some of my friends to go to the beach, stay at the beach like all day until probably like 4:35. Go home, eat, get a nice nap in, shower, and then have probably a nice dinner on the water with a couple of my friends. That is definitely my perfect day.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back to one more lacrosse question. That just is what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
I think there should be more camps available for people who aren't as privileged and can't afford the equipment because it is an expensive sport. And I definitely think that if we made lacrosse more available to the public, that's the way that our sport can grow.
Now, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your former teammates, family members, friends, and who should we have on the podcast next?
I want to shout out Jordan Peterson because she's currently in doing the Europe tournament. She's playing for Italy.
Oh, wow, that's
So I'm
awesome.
super proud of her. She's a rising junior on the team. That is Isabella Peterson's little sister. So
Awesome.
I just want to give her a shout out and wish her the best of luck. And Marie Durkin, because Marie Durkin's playing on Ireland.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, definitely shout out to those two. Well,
Yeah.
Nicole, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on. I really appreciate it. I think you're a great person. I think you're a great player, and you were one of my favorite defenders to watch the past couple of seasons. So I was super excited to finally get the chance to have you on the podcast today. And I wish you nothing but the best stuff for your future. I know you're going to do great things, and I'm really going to miss you play though on the field. So hopefully there's a way you can get back into lacrosse as in some capacity.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate all of this.